So I'm here with my sound. Would you guys be the sound team? How would I call you guys? The sound team?
Portion of it?
Swamis.
The Swamis, the sound Swamis and the music Swami. Mark Mangini, Chris Minkler, and Mark Isham. And the editing portion of the montage is probably a separate conversation that we can maybe bring John in on another day, because that would take.
We need another Blu-ray for that.
We need another Blu-ray just for that.
Another disc.
We waited to do, the montage was sort of the middle of the film, and I knew what I wanted to do visually, but then it was inserting all these other elements that kept lifting it and lifting it and lifting it.
Well, you know, our contribution to this scene, you know, notwithstanding the importance of talking about what we brought to it, it was more about what we didn't do, I think, than what we did do. I mean, that's what really strikes me about this sequence is, it starts with your vision of what this should sound like, and you know, I got to sort of tap out here because you know, once I heard what Mark had done, and thank goodness you started designing that score ahead of time. You know, I got to sort of step back and say the drive and the energy of the music was so phenomenal. It's really incumbent upon us to show really rare restraint, to respect the music and how it contributes to getting all this information laid out and making the audience feel like, wow, that was just incredible, what I just saw. So we will talk about the interesting things that we brought to it, but you have to sort of give props to Mark, what he brought to it, and figure out a way to delicately enhance that montage without getting in the way.
But that's one of the things I loved about your approach to the process, was that you're always coming from a place of story and serving the movie rather than, and there are, you know, not only in what you guys do, but in a lot of different departments, sometimes people want to get what they do to be at the front of.
Yeah, it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. We're all like that. Yeah. I believe me, I know.
Yeah. But a lot of times to the detriment of the scene. So that was a very, you know, you're there to serve the movie, which is what we're all supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But then when we got in the mixing stage,
well,
then it became, because everything was so surgical, what you were doing.
Well, this is where Chris had to really make it all happen because, you know, that being said, I still brought a lot of variety of things we could use, and it was really incumbent upon you and Chris to decide, well, out of these hundreds of sounds, what's our focus?
We really did.
How does it play nice with music?
When we first saw it, it really wasn't complete with the movement of everything. So Mark did come with everything. We didn't know what was going to play with what. And that was the challenge of picking and choosing what are we going to do.
Right. And it was very delicate because of the panels.
Yes.
And how everything was moving. You guys had to track what was happening visually and the story that we were telling with pictures, with panels, and then using sound to at times pull the audience's ears, because there were times I wanted the audience to be seeing one thing, but how do you choose so quickly what to see? And what I discovered from you guys was to use sound to pull the eye.
Because a lot of times there were three different dialogue, three different actors talking at the same time. And it was challenging, who do you want to go to?
The balance of that, so it was really interesting what you guys were doing, because we were so surgical about this stuff, but how you guys were allowing the, you know, once I guess I was clear about what I wanted, but I don't know how to get there, and then you'd be like, well, if you just do this, and then we can do this, and that would track to that, and it was a very surgical kind of procedure.
Totally. And now we can insert the Lionsgate sort of crass sales pitch kind of moment, because you know, you did buy this as a 7/1 DVD, so we want to point out the really neat moments that takes advantage of that. So we'll talk about that in a moment, right? Where we put something over in that freaking speaker over there. We'll get to that, right?
Yes, we did.
For those geeks that have home theater systems with 3,000 speakers.
Those three people.
Yeah, those guys. Those guys.
Exactly. So anyway, so this is the piece, and it was the challenge of, with all the different elements that we had at our disposal, to make this come alive in a way, and also trying to do this something fresh, because I was so resistant to a montage to begin with.
Yeah, it can be a hackneyed film technique, right?
Yeah. So you know, maybe this isn't even the best way to do it, but just to keep my brain, I guess, in some way interested. I didn't want to just go with a traditional kind of montage. And
well, you don't see panels. very often, and you chose the hardest possible route in terms of what do we, because we have overlapping dialogue constantly in what is meant to be a cinematically expository moment. We're trying to give information, but you're giving it 3 times at once. So what the fuck were you thinking?
It was crazy. I don't know. That's what I kept asking you guys.